Okay. Hello. Suddenly really quiet. I need to
Yeah.
talk quite loud because all of the sound on the internet is coming out of the microphone that you're wearing.
Okay, as long as it's working, testing,
I
testing.
mean, I don't know. I think it's working. It seems
Yeah,
to be working
Steve,
level-wise.
good.
Hopefully, somebody on the stream will tell us
Yeah.
if the audio isn't good enough. Although Pat will be louder than I am because he's nearer the microphone. So yeah, thanks for coming to the DoES Salon. And this month we are honoured to have Pat Link, a long-time stream viewer, as we organised this at the last one when Pat was actually watching the stream because he couldn't make it over in person. We then put that and I could message him and go, "How about you give a talk next month?" And he very graciously said yes. Yeah, welcome to DoES Liverpool and to the Salon. And mostly, I don't think there's much else I need to tell all of you. So I'm going to hand over to Pat, who's going to be telling us about kind of plastic recycling and the cool stuff they get to at the Nest and High makerspace. I hope. Well, I mean, whatever he talks about will be awesome. And yeah, we're streaming onto the internet. Hopefully that's all going okay. And yeah, over to you, Pat.
Thank you. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Well, I don't know how to start this. Well, it's going to start probably right from the beginning. That's how I'm going to start with it, because the plastic recycling was a side thing, how it came into what I'm doing, but it was like a really meaningful thing because it meant a lot to kids that, obviously I teach and stuff like that. So the only thing I use for AI is the picture. That's the only thing. So everything else is just whatever I've got, what I wrote about or talked about. So on there you can see, when I speak to kids and they said, why do you like making? I like making because I was age 4, and that kit that you see on the side, on this side over here, I was given one of them by my nan. So she trusted me with a saw. She trusted me with a hammer. The hammer on the other side, because I can't find a picture of the hammer. I still have that in school, actually. That's actually a roofer's hammer. It looks like a broken claw hammer, but it's for roofing. And I found one of them in my nan's shed, and she said, you can have that. And that was to me like the holy grail of making, sort of thing, like I can knock nails into everything. And we started actually, see, I always say this, I think I had the joy of growing up having a nan who just used to always say to me, oh, go and have a go at that. As long as you don't hurt yourself, you can have a go at it. And like, how do you judge as a kid how you're not going to hurt yourself? You just go in, you're full-hearted and everything like that and try something. So she gave us that freedom of doing stuff like that. And obviously I went through school then. I never knew that I was dyslexic or that I might be ADHD or anything like that. Because when we were kids, that didn't exist. You just went to school. And when you went to school, like I wrote with my left hand, couldn't write with my left hand because we used a fountain pen, so I had to learn to write with my right hand, and then I just didn't enjoy writing full stop. But we didn't have computers. We were only having the joke before. We used to have an abacus, in maths when we first learned to calculate and stuff like that. Didn't even have a calculator in school. So anything like that. Later on at A-levels, we had calculators. That was a bit more advanced then and stuff like that. But still, there was already the introduction to computers. So when I talk to kids, I say, everything I know, I taught myself, used quite a lot of YouTube for that, or found, like when I found DoES, I found DoES, I think when I first started teaching, when you were still in the old, down by the BBC building and everything like that, in the road there. And I think I went there because I was doing an electronics project, and I needed some help with an Arduino. And I just didn't know where to go and what to do. And I discovered that. I thought, what a brilliant thing to have a makerspace. So I thought to myself, when I go to school, I wonder if I can do something like that. Because there's something, you need to inspire kids and stuff like that with it. So I went to uni, because I didn't go into teaching straight from school. I have had a career in the construction and building industry for like 20 plus years prior to it. If you asked me back at school, I probably would never become a teacher. Like looking back at school, how I enjoyed my school time or anything like that. But I'm definitely making it different now. Kids like coming to school and they'll have a good journey from it, sort of thing like that. But it came about as in, I had a maths and physics teacher, and I think he just put that belief in you. You know, when you'd done something, if you didn't know something, he'd go, have a go at it, you know, sort of thing like that. And I've always been like that. Just have a go at it. You know, if you don't master it the first time, and you practice to do it more and more, it will come. You know, it's one of them. You don't have to have the talent for it, but the more you practice something, you get better at it. You never probably be the superstar in it, but you get better at it. You get by with it and stuff like that. So at uni, when we had a project to do, we had to do something on sustainability. And I love the way they put it out there. The project was called Do Something on Sustainability. So you talked 15 years ago, you said someone to do something on sustainability. What are you going to talk about? You're like, I'm going, what am I going to talk about? I've always recycled since I've been a kid. I mean, because in Germany, that's a common thing. I've never known anything different. You sort of get money for your recycling, and it's still now you still get money for your recycling. You pay up front for it, but you get it back again. System after 31 years being in England, they still haven't got it sorted here. And I'm sorry to say they probably never have it sorted because someone private's always involved with it, and not someone's always trying to make a profit out of it. That's why. And you don't make profit out of recycling. You can make profit, but you don't make that kind of profit they're trying to make with it, sort of thing like that. So I looked at a project, and I had a fleece jacket, and the fleece jacket that I had a little label inside that fleece jacket that it was made from recycled plastic bottles. So in a sense, it's polyester. That's what it is, fleece. So it is a recycled PAT #1 plastic bottle, you know, sort of thing like that. So I built a project on that. I had like a poster. I can't even find it anymore now. That's the shame about it. But I don't like you had to stand up and talk about how I came. And I found precious plastic at the time. When I found precious plastic was something that was set up. You had blueprints. You can get blueprints, build your own machines. And I was like this, wow, imagine school building that stuff. You know, kids would just love that. And it was, when I brought that into school, it was just, from day one, it really took off as a whole project. But not on this table, because I realize it's cracking there. Yeah, and then, so what I did was, I started out then, I self-funded that little shredder. That was like and it's funny, I found it on the internet. There was a guy shredding all sorts of things, building shredders, he was shredding bowling balls, he was shredding anything you can think of. He built the shredder in. But the main thing he was doing was the meat shredders. So like for bones and things like this. And I was like this going, whoa, that's a bit like, there must be some quite powerful shredders. So I messaged him on this when he was only doing like an assembly video. Shame he doesn't do them anymore now. I was a machinist. And we just got talking then. And I just said to him, oh, where are you based? Can I buy one of those? Because you keep saying you'll sell some of them. And then he mentioned that he was in Kassel. That's like half an hour from where my mum lives in Germany. And I was like this going, wow. So I got in touch with my mum and said, Mum, I found this fella, you know, and he's going to sell me a shredder. Can we have a look into this? So I remember she helped me and we looked into it. And then literally he built me this mini shredder, and it was only about this big, little hand crank. We made a hand crank then, and put it into a case to make it safe and everything. You probably get 2 bottle tops through it. You have to really put a lot of effort into it, kind of thing. But it worked. It was better than putting up with scissors. Because when I first started teaching in school, we obviously had to do something with it. And then I discovered a panini press would do that. You know, I found out great silicon sheets that you can use for it. So you can use them over and over and over again. They're really robust and everything like that. And we used to make just a plastic sheet, cut it out, because you can use woodworking tools. I come from a woodworking background. That was great because you can show kids carving with it. You can build things. So in my first school, we were building toolboxes as their resistant materials project. And we all made a handle then that was made from plastic, because you can form quite nicely in a piece of wood, nice and chunky. And that was the handle on the carry case and everything like that. And that really, kids were really engaged with that. And I can remember the head teacher saying to me, how do you get them so engaged? I said, well, because they made everything. They cut the plastic up, they made the sheet, they actually done the whole process. Not just, here's something, cut it up. They actually made it, and they took a lot more care went into it when they started making. So when someone makes, you probably know yourself, when you make something, you look at it probably completely different than if you bought it off the shelf. Well, majority of people, they buy something off the shelf and they just go, oh yeah, I can just go and buy another one. But if you made it, there's like a bit of pride in it, and there's like, you know what's gone into making something. So that's what I started then. And obviously when I was lucky enough then to join Neston. When I joined Neston, I began to STEAM, well, I called it STEAM and didn't call it STEM, because I believe that art belongs into all this. If you're not very art mind, if you can be very mathematical, you can be very mathematical and everything like that. But if you don't have a bit of like something like you play music or listen to music or play an instrument or do some making, do something, you are really stuck in that world. And your mind works completely different if you have looking at both sides of it. Because I always believe, and it felt better that way because the E in the middle is always the underfunded one. They always talk about engineering, but they don't offer no CPD for teachers for engineering. They don't offer anything out there. Bid funds you have to go into, they tend to be STEM-based ones. They go, what's the science in that? I said, that's the STEM inside of it, that you're talking about. And stuff like that they have. So there's loads of things. So I set up in school a makerspace. That was my after-school club. I know I got a lot of criticism over the teachers. I should call it a DT workshop because it's going to be DT. I said, no, it's a makerspace. Because the makerspace was, to me, you can go along to a makerspace. You don't have to have a skill. You have to have an interest in something. If you don't know something, someone else might be able to help you. If someone can't help you, they might know someone they know that can help you or something. And even if they don't know, they'll sit there with you and go, let's have a look at this. So they don't leave you just sitting there. But if I went to a workshop, it's very formal. It's a very formal setting that I'm looking at. So I said, it's a makerspace. So you can come in. I don't let just the students make whatever they want to make. They do have to come with a design or something like that. Or they bring their own stuff, kind of thing. Well, even if they don't bring their own stuff, because I always make sure I resource them. So I believe that's the big thing with kids. They can't make because they haven't got the funds to buy something or do something. So I'm a very big thinker in that you have to, the only way to really support them with it is by doing, to me, is giving it to them for free, kind of thing to use. I don't get any funding with it in school or anything like that. But what I've done is over the years, obviously, it's making things out of plastic. We can resell them, and you can make money out of it. So we have done stuff like that and run bid funds and that talk. I do play a video. I don't know if this is going to run on the stream. So someone says it will work. I always play this video because it brings home to people why we should recycle. Now comes the suspense. No, it's not going to play. That's fine. No, it doesn't want to play. Doesn't really matter. But that video on there shows every second in this world, even as we're talking now, 20,000 plastic bottles are made. And that's each and every day. They don't even stop for Christmas. They don't stop for a birthday, for a new year, or nothing. They're just getting made with that. And it starts at the beginning, one bottle falls at the sky, and it's the next one, the next one, the next one. And it says by the end of that video, it's about a minute that it's over 1 million bottles that fell. And then kids normally sit there and everybody watches go. And it's like, you're blown away because you couldn't think of it. A plastic bottle is a waste product, really, because you can't recycle. You can recycle it now, but you can only once recycle it. So you make it into a football top, as what they make it into. Or like the fleece that I've got, fleece made from 100% plastic bottles. A blazer made from 100 plastic, but it's only ever going to be that and can't be recycled again after that. At a very high cost, sort of thing like that. And that's where recycling falls down because the cost becomes a really high cost with it. But I never want to discourage kids when I talk about that, like give them a shock story or stop them from doing something. So what we done is in school, we started building machines then to obviously do some plastic recycling. So we have a shredder there. We have an injection molder. We're rebuilding the injection molder at the moment because that's just run too many hours now. And it's like it wasn't something else wasn't working on it, and we fixed something else. We just build a new one, sort of thing like that. We got the machinery in school, and kids will really enjoy that. So we build that. So we started as a new project making one of those. We built a sheet press. One student did an EPQ. So kids always call it the oversized pizza oven because it looks like a pizza oven, but you make plastic sheets in there. So that really opens a massive thing for kids to get involved with and stuff like that. So what we do is we upgraded our shredder then. So that's the shredder that we upgraded to. And I built it together with kids as well. So they come as parts. We order that one as parts. And if you're quite clever as a teacher and you write to companies like that, you just say, I'm going to put it together myself. Don't send it me as a built part or something like that. They will give you discounts on it. I got that, I think, something like for I think a quarter knocked off the price or something because I didn't want it assembled. and they sent me lovely photographs. This is how it's put together. I think after that they stopped doing that. Then they never done it again. They only because they realized someone could do that, and they were probably, but they only now sell them as one-made kits, sort of thing like that. But I believe if you put it together yourself, you know to fix it to yourself then as well. And that's the important thing. Because that's one thing I learned from my nan from growing up. She used to say to me, you can take it apart, but if you can't put it back together again, you can't touch it. And to me, that was always like the big carrot out there. Ooh, I'm going to have a go taking that apart. Because I always wanted to see how something worked on the inside. I was quite inquisitive for that. And I would try, and I'm hoping to think that I inspire kids to be the same way, to try and be inquisitive, not like break your phone open. And I say to them, there's certain things you can't look into because when you break it open, there's not much you can go into. I do have an open phone in school, so you can see that. It takes that thing away. I have an open PlayStation. I have an open, so you can actually see what the inside looks like. You don't have to do that. But don't throw something away. Fix it first. Repair. Because I quite like the way the repair cafes are coming out now. It's a big thing talked about this. Because we learned at school how to mend things, but at school now there's no time in the curriculum to do that. So I make space for that. There's no time to make these machines. But I take a bit of the curriculum side away and then encourage students to come in their own time to do that because they're actually fascinated with it. And you have to win them all. I believe as a teacher, I don't want to be their friend. Don't get me that. I'm not because I'm not their friend. I'm there to get to know them. And to get to know them is you have to be in their world. I do TikTok lives. I build puzzles and build Lego. Kids say to me, right, this is the first time I have my face on something. I normally not my face on it. I'm just like that. My hands are doing something and I'm talking away to them. And that's got such a great engagement in school. It's got a really positive engagement in school. It's a good behavior thing in school as well with and stuff like that. Because they know I won't speak to them unless you're not, be nice to each other. Otherwise, Mr. Link won't speak to you, sort of thing like that. I've kicked kids off that, when they start talking rubbish in there. I said, it's a great thing when you're the host. Guess what you can do? You can go delete. And they go, oh, why are you throwing such and such out? I said, don't be horrible. Like that, So we've done things like that. So in school, we built quite a few things with machining. And plus it helped as well is because when you teach engineering, the curriculum's quite dry. It's very much maths and physics, what I done at school. There was no such thing as engineering, but I then brought in that we actually machined things out. We actually built things, so things had to fit onto it. We done welding, something again that was not in the curriculum. But see, I've done all these extra things, and I think we're doing all these extra things that get students engaged and actually opens opportunities for them to see, like when you have to talk in school about apprenticeships and stuff like that. That I always say to them, it's great to do an apprenticeship, but you have to know what you want to do. Don't just say, I want to do an apprenticeship. Have an idea of what you want to do. Because you speak to a kid this day and age, not many of them have hobbies. They won't even say playing a game is a hobby. And I say, you spend most of your time playing a game, that is a hobby, And they go, oh, is that a hobby? Sort of thing like that. You could follow, something, and that is a hobby. Sort of thing like that. Hobby doesn't have to be playing an instrument, riding a bike or something. It could be anything that you do in your spare time to relax, to enjoy yourself. Can I say all the ones that are enjoyable hobbies that you do? Because some of them are quite challenging, But then again, some people might like that, Yeah, and then the best thing we make is in school is these carabiners. Because kids will have them and kids will actually keep hold of them and stuff like that. It's a very useful product. It's talking about 3 plastic bottle tops go into making one of them in weight and stuff like that. There's a whole conversation about that to be had. And that conversation, having that, and the kids obviously making that, builds like that really good relationship with them to know what. I think we recycle now something like 800,000 bottle tops or something like that. I'm doing that on like a guesstimation kind of thing, because I probably get like 500 a week or something like that. Some weeks less, some weeks more. I've been dropped off ton bags, you get full of bottle tops and stuff like that in school. So if you ask for them, people will collect it. But kids do say you find other rubbish in as well, because some people don't, and that's where the recycling falls out in this country, because people don't get it. Recycling, if it says plastic, only put plastic into it. says cardboard, only put cardboard into it, Something else is not going to work, There's guidelines you have to stick by. And same with plastic recycling, there's certain guides you have to do. You can't mix two different types of plastic. Industry, they can, but then you can't recycle it, and it doesn't melt together properly. It will delaminate and stuff like that. So there's science to it. So you talk about that, but again, we're talking science, but we're not doing science. We're talking maths, but we're not doing maths. But we are doing it. But to them, we're not doing it. And then afterwards, well, as they get older, kids, when I have sixth formers then, or kids who leave, they go, that was really good when we done that, because all the calculations we had to do to get that working. I said, wasn't that enjoyable maths? And they go, oh, yeah, it was really enjoyable maths. To make it so it becomes something more enjoyable what they're doing. And that's something we start doing in year 7 now, and I do it on most projects, that we make a keyring out of recycled plastic. And that's something kids keep on their bags and everything like that. It's really popular around school, as a thing. And then that's our keyring that we sort of, and it stays with them for ages, that keyring, what they make and stuff like that. I've shown sometimes pictures where I try to make harder ones and more challenging ones, then, because people have this conception that everything has to be symmetrical. Sir, can you draw us a heart? I said, I can't make a symmetrical heart. I can draw you a heart. Then I fold the paper, draw one half and open it up, and they go, oh, that looks really nice. That's the only way I can get it symmetrical, because they want to have it perfect. So I made this heart that for my wife, like her name is, I say it now, doesn't matter, Debbie, and I just, there was a little heart inside, cut it out so the D had loads of holes inside, but it was like that. Every time I go, can I make one of them? I said, it's really difficult, and I got pictures how it's made. Some kids challenge themselves to do that, but you have to do that. I don't do this, oh, I made this before, I always make with them. I know, Chris, you've been to my school, you've seen it, haven't you? I make with the kids, so if they're doing something, I'll make my own project. Most of them get way ahead of me then because I'm helping them with theirs, but I would try and do my own and try and make it really difficult as well for myself to be challenged, but then to see as well that, not everything works every time and everything, but you make it work in some way. So that's something, that's how I brought plastic recycling into it and stuff like that in the making. So if that first video this wouldn't work, this one explains. This is a brand new one that I found. This explains why we don't recycle. I'm happy to share these afterwards. On this one, they talk about, there's that magic figure they always talk about, 9%. They said 9% gets recycled. And then said at one point it was 11%. But that was because at a certain time in the year, we produced more masks and we produced more plastic waste. That's what we had 11. We're back down to 9 now. We only get to 9 because you can't, they won't clean it. If you don't clean it, you decontaminate the whole lorry, not just the one part. They just get rid of everything rather than just taking that one offendable piece out and no, they don't. They just go all to landfill then and stuff like that. Some of the stuff that you actually recycle, if it's not profitable enough for them, it tells you in this video as well. And he actually visits a place where someone actually says with screen blanked out, so oh yes, it is true. That's what you're saying. We just sell it off, and they sell off to third world countries then, and they end up earning it, unfortunately, sort of thing like that. But there is great stuff, you can actually, I believe if you do it right, you could probably recycle everything that you have, kind of thing, or manufacture things so they become recyclable. So what I started doing in school then is to make sure when I talk about something being recyclable, I looked at, oops, there we go. These are chairs made from plastic bottle tops. So we have wooden seats. They are probably now, the wooden seats must be coming up to, well, we've been 9 years in the building now. They were older, I'd say like give them 12 years, 15 years old, maybe the chairs. And obviously the seats are delaminating the plywood. So I started with one chair, then the next chair, the next chair. My last year, 11, this class, I taught them from year 7 to year 13. So I took students through there. There were some on there who've now gone into degree apprenticeships and stuff like that. They've gone off to really good jobs in universities and everything like that. And I like what quite a few of them wrote the last time, thanking me for inspiring them in year 7 to think about doing, because you have to start to start early, that journey. I let them come in the workshop and just make and stuff like that. So when they said we were learning how to use CNC, that was actually quite fun, that, they really enjoyed that, doing stuff like that. Because I always said, I want you to enjoy school, and when you enjoy school, is something that you're learning something, doing something, and that's only how it's going to work with that, by experimenting and trying, sort of thing like that. So the middle chair that you have on there, that middle one is the one that is secondary recycled. So all those laptop stands were made, and we shredded all the plastic from them and kept it together. And I made in total now, I think we are up to 8 chairs out of that one now, out of that batch, what was over there. That's one of our latest projects we started. So we looked at with plastic bags, because they are just, there's millions of them, bubble wrappers and everything. There's something else, something else, something else. You take them to a supermarket. Now they are a product that, careful how I say this now, but supermarkets don't do anything with them. That video before will show you. If it's not profitable to them and if it's not clean, they will just get rid of that whole thing. I make sure that I clean all my recycling before. It doesn't take much to wash it before you put it in the recycling bin. It really doesn't take much. But if it's not clean, they won't recycle it. And that's where it came from. So I've done that part where I've looked at that, with that recycling part from it. And then obviously on there then is, that wallet is, they make a plastic sheet. We're upgrading now to a t-shirt press. Had it for a couple of years now. It works so much better with it. You can melt it in a t-shirt press with 2 silicone sheets in there. I let kids do that all by themselves. The only thing I have to help them sometimes is push them. That's so funny when you watch them, they push it down, they forget it springs. So watch it springs up and they go poof, and they fly up in the air with it, sort of thing. I'm glad it's mounted high up so it's not, I'm scared it's going to knock someone out one day when it comes up. There's a foam pad with a handle on there. But then we make those wallets and they learn how to sew by hand. It's quite a maze, and I can sew by hand kind of thing, and because they don't think they can do something, and you just actually make them do something that sort of thing like that. So it does really work really well for it, showing that part of actually making something. And then what they've done is on this, when you look at those wallets, we have in school what's called an Omni card. So they pay for lunch on this card, you fingerprint on this card, and that actually fits inside of it. So we made a little wallet. We've started a new project now, so we can try and make a messenger bag. So we collected loads more, but you don't realize when you start collecting it does actually bulk. You can swash it down, but it actually bulks in the stuff that you have. But we're going to make them into plastic sheets then and try and make stuff with them. So I'm always looking at what can I do next in school to inspire the next ones to do something, get the next year 7s involved with it, the next. I've got kids who start in year 7 makerspace and they stay there to leave school, kind of thing. From year 7 to year 13 kind of thing, drop in and out. When they get older, they just drop in then, and they just come in and I quite like that because they help out and stuff like that, and it gives them good skills. I took them to loads of events like Makefests and stuff like that. We went to loads of different ones. They've asked us if we do one in school, but I said it's a massive thing to organize, And I said the hardest thing is running something in school when you're doing it. It's all the regulations and everything you have to do, and certain things you have to do a certain way. And how many times I've set the fire alarm off, I don't know, kind of thing, What our old head of department, his ringtone for me was the fire starter. And it's great, when something happens, there was 10-foot flames. Mr. Lee burned half this room down. No, there wasn't. There was a little puff of smoke that came out or something like, things like that happen. And I take it as a laugh, sort of thing like. But engineering doesn't happen without something going wrong, and you have to solve a problem and doing stuff like that. So we've done loads of them, and taking kids to those, it actually gets them. They get an ownership for it. They actually quite like it. Loads of them have gone like low enterprise businesses now and stuff like that. And they say, we'll donate something to makerspace, and things like that, And because they made their own little businesses out of it. And we got them into 3D printing and stuff like that. That was like, I think I put the image on there. I hope I have. No, I haven't. Didn't put the image on there, sorry. Go back. Oh, jumped off the image. Yeah, leave it there. So we had so I involved them with loads of stuff as much as I can. Sort of thing like that, giving them like when we first got the machine, it's not like you unbox it kind of thing. The first one I got, we put together ourselves. When you put something together yourself, if something goes wrong, you know how to fix it. Or if it doesn't work, you can go, oh, I didn't do this right. You can go back and look at something. But we got a machine and it wouldn't work. We couldn't get it to work. And then we got it to work. We got filament made. It was great. Filament came out. We had loads of filament. It's really hard to join together. That was a difficult thing, but we managed to find a way of joining together now. So we got long reels of it, and then we couldn't get it to 3D print. It wouldn't go hot enough. So we bought a hot thermistor that goes up to temperature, changed the thermistor on the 3D printer. No, still wouldn't go. But it's exactly the same one as they said they're using. So we went back to the drawing board. We flashed it with new firmware, changed it in the firmware, changed the temperature on our thermistor and everything that uploaded. Still wouldn't work. Still wouldn't go. But we thought, don't worry about it. If it doesn't work, we'll find a way around it. So we found a different way of printing with it and everything. But it was a good way of problem solving with them. Like I always talk to the kids. You always say, oh, they want a 3D print. And I said, no, if you design it yourself, you can 3D print it. But if you just download it, I'm not printing it. And they go, what do you mean? I said, if I print one, I'm going to print 1 million of them. Because I'd done it once for my tutor group. I can remember I made fidget toys, and that was the worst thing I could have done. Ended up being, I stopped at 60 or something like that. You mean, because his friend came, do you know, you got Mason one of them, can I have one of them as well? And I couldn't say no to someone when he came and asked me. I mean, so I was like, oh. So we stopped making them. I said, no more fidget toys are getting made now. So if you design your own, you can make your own. So I had one of my tutor designed his own, so we printed it because he designed his own. Because I have to see the files that you designed it yourself. So along the way, we won quite a few things, and I never went into the awards or anything like that to win something. It was for the kids to actually show them that you have to try something. If you don't try it, you don't know if you're going to get it. Because loads of them we failed at the beginning as well first. I can remember we got one, and the funny thing was, kids got really, I love that when they read feedback, because they give us feedback, and they were going, they didn't read our presentation. And I said, what do you mean they didn't read our presentation? They said, their question was why they didn't like, they gave us feedback. They didn't like our presentation. This is feedback. No, they didn't like it because they said, what do you do with the plastic you can't recycle? And clearly, we have a slide that says what we do with plastic we can't recycle. And they talked about everything on there. And I'm going like, it doesn't have to be liked by everyone that we do, sort of thing like that. But they were really hung up by that. And then we entered again on something different and won something. I said, there you go. And I said, did we change anything? They went, no, we done this. No, we actually done more this time. I said, well, there you go. So they wanted to see more, but didn't know how to say we want more or something like that. So I've done various things at school, but I've gotten loads of kids involved with it as well. So I plan loads of events in school. But the thing is, when you're doing events in school is you don't have the money to spend. They can say, oh, you can do as much as you want, but don't ask us for any money, kind of thing, sort of thing like that. And I managed to actually, winning awards, like I was lucky when I won the Dyson Awards, that Dyson is doing 2 free workshops for me and stuff like this. So you get something out of it that way as well when you're doing things. It's always like when you do something, they give you something back, and that's quite nice, sort of thing like that. But you have to put a lot into it, But I don't mind doing that because I get good school outcomes for it. Students will work really hard in school. It's good. I always say, because kids always want me to say, when I come up to them and they go, oh, you're not trying very hard. I wouldn't say that. I'm just going, oh, seems like you're not interested. And they go, what do you mean by I'm not interested? I said, well, people who are interested, look around the room, they're all working. And if you decide not to work, that's perfectly fine. Well, I only need 5 GCSEs. I said, that's fine. Someone else will have 5 GCSEs as well. And someone else might have 8 GCSEs. Someone might have 5 better ones than your 5 GCSEs. So why did you pick the subject? Because I wanted to be an engineer. I said, and I think you want to have a good engineering GCSE, don't you? And so that tends to motivate them then. Some it does, and it doesn't all of them, but quite a majority it does. And those who don't, they get good outcomes. And loads of them will take part in competitions in school. So I try and do it for every year group of competition. I've even started doing some of my own competition where I've been on a competition, looked at it, and made it my own, So we run our own in-house type of competition and stuff like that with it. So that's what I started to do. And then the latest thing that I planned is trying to be, I don't know why, I started a year 7 tutor group again after the other ones left, and you start with something brand new, and they pick their options. And when they picked their options, some of them went, why does engineering never go on a trip? And what do you mean engineering never goes on a trip? I said, I go regularly with school to Germany, to Berlin. Yeah, but that's not an engineering trip we go on. That's a history trip and it's a languages trip. I said, what do you mean by it? We need to do an engineering. So I looked and I found something. So we're going to go to Munich. We're going to go. We have a sustainable workshop with BMW, getting to see BMW there, going to the Allianz Arena and stuff like that. So seeing monuments. So going 4 days there with it, that's quite a nice thing to do in school. And there's loads of kids who signed up for that. I know that will be the next ones who will be doing an Arkwright scholarship or something like that. So an Arkwright scholarship is something, they get a scholarship, but they have to do a lot of legwork into it. They have to make a project, and you have to present this project, but you have to do before and after a test to get onto, even display your project and all that sort of thing. There's a lot goes into it. So I've just done some interviews where I spoke to other students from across the country. You listen to what they pitch, and then you give some. You don't tell them the feedback. You write it up, and then either say yes or no. And there's some really bright minds out there. There's some really game changers out there. We have to believe in those kids, what they're doing. You mean, if you put belief in them, they will actually do something, and they will actually produce something. And that's what I'm hoping that's what I achieved in school to do, with bringing plastic recycling and making a makerspace, sort of thing. Don't know, what are we like on time? Has anyone got questions or anything like that? Or yeah, go on, Jackie.
Have you noticed any changes in the sort of materials that are available? Like I seem to think that I saw the wallets you make.
Yeah.
I've noticed that there's less colourful carrot.
Oh yeah. So like, for example, there's no green bottle top anymore now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is the green bottle tops. When you think of it, I think it's a wrong thing what they've done. A right thing, yes, maybe, but still a wrong thing. They took it out because if they're all clear, then you don't have any decontamination by color. Because if I take clear plastic and drop one black bottle top into it, that batch will be black. The resin inside there is so strong that will make that go really dark. So if you have anything that's clear, you put one green bottle top into it, you make the whole batch go like a light green color. That's how strong it is. That's why they took green out. But what do people do? You see green, skim milk, or semi-skim milk, red, skim milk. You identify with that. And then what happened was, when they started doing that, there was manufacturers who printed wrong, because plastic has resin codes. So they printed number 5 on a number 2 product. Because when you scanned it, it came back as a number 2 as a PE, so a polyethylene, not a polypropylene. Because we had a scanner that Western Council, lucky enough, bought us that when I spoke to them. Because they came into school and said, what would you like to have? And I said, I'd like to have a plastic scanner, if you're offering. Sort of thing. And we did get a plastic scanner. Yeah, but you're right there. They don't, black plastic, you can't scan full stop, because it gives no light rays back to it. So that's why, And I think
more plastic than ever is being used, isn't it?
Yeah, more plastic. Yeah, it's all clear stuff now and everything like that. And the reason it's gone for the clear factor is because you're putting no resin into it and stuff like that. They think they're being greener by putting less into it. You're not being greener by putting less into it. It's shocking, because even biodegradable packaging is not biodegradable. It takes 60 degrees and over 60 days in a climatized area to be that temperature for it to break down. We're going to start a project because we got these biodegradable bags that our foam pouches came in. We're going to put them outside and we're going to see how long it takes them to break down in nature. You can't compost them. You can't compost. Yeah, they will not compost. Because if you look at an old plastic bag you find in the attic, they all just fall apart. It just pulverizes and it falls apart. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you pick up the little flakes and it just crumbles and everything. It's not very. It's a great product when you think of a plastic. It can save lives. Sort of thing, with stuff they can do with it. But then again, it's a massive polluter as well. It's a massive polluter because not everything has to be stuck inside plastic or something like that. Not everything has to be done that way. So it is quite shocking. I find it quite shocking. But if you don't open the eyes to people, people will just go, yeah, it's only a bit of plastic. Only a bit of plastic. That's why that video, when you see it before and you see the amount of it, it's not just a little bit of plastic, it's loads of plastic. We done that plastic count in school, and when we came back and the kids counted at home how many things, but you have to be careful what you do because you don't shock them then. How many things they touch is plastic. This morning, the toothbrush would have been plastic, the bristles would have been plastic on it, the toothpaste is in a plastic tube. Your shower gel is in a plastic tube. Not talking about all the other things that come off, microplastics and everything like that, kind of thing. Yeah. Any other questions? Or?
Just sound
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
I don't know if they're still there in Munich, but when I went to Munich with work, it was to go to Sony Europe.
Yeah,
Sony Mobile Phones Europe.
Yeah, no, I think they've moved now. So,
right. Yeah.
So what we're going to see is we're going to see BMW, and then the Olympic Stadium is a separate thing to the Allianz Arena. They're two separate things. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kept, each time I went over, I was always like, oh, I should take some time off and go to the time I had the BMW.
Yeah.
I should go to the BMW museum.
Yeah.
And then never, it was always, oh, next time I come.
Yeah.
And then didn't. Yeah, but yeah, all of the Sony Z5 mobile phones that we did the web browser for, all like Sony mobile phones were.
Yeah.
We were, in Munich. But yeah. So I guess, thank you all for coming. The next DoES Salon is going to be at the start of May, whenever the second Wednesday in May is. I should have really looked on a calendar before I got to stand up here, but whenever that is, will be when the next one is happening. And we have our speakers. It's becoming a trend that people who come to the talk before speak at the next one, but we should maybe not panic everybody. I'm just going to pick somebody now. You two at the back, maybe you should be top. Arkin, yeah, that's nice. You're all right. 13. Excellent. So the 13th of May will be the next DoES Salon. Arkin and Tunde, who work at Turn, who are about 5 meters that way, just below this room, going to be giving a talk about air quality and the air quality sensors that they and the 2 days a week work on. So that should be a interesting talk. No pressure, guys, but I think we've still got some drinks left. If anyone's having a chat some more, I will wrap up the stream now. So thanks for joining us, internet.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, damn. Just too late. We've got a question from the internet. They arrived after I stopped looking at the screen. So Laura James has asked, so knowing what you know now, what tips would Pat give a teacher thinking about setting up a makerspace? What are the things you learned the hard way?
The thing I learned the hard way, there's no fun. No one's going to give you money freely. You have to get to know the business manager very quickly and win them on board. That's what I did. I won it on board. So you do get a bit of allowance and things like that for it. And then you have to literally go into competitions, and you have to plead to parents and stuff. I do like a makerspace, but I should probably mention that before. We do a makerspace with parents, very unregular, but they just come in, we just stand there and sort bottle tops and chat away and stuff like that. That picture that you've seen right at the beginning, that was on the display, that one. They were two of 10 students who were there with parents, and we just stand there and talk and sort bottle tops and just chat away. And you'd be amazed how many parents will actually help you and get involved with it. Cool. But I definitely would recommend it. 100%.
Yeah.
and people, talking to people, and people will call you a hoarder for being in the makerspace because you have to have a lot of stuff in your room. Because if you don't have it there, you can't have it as a demo piece, or you can't have something to show and stuff like that, And you probably end up fixing everything.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I guess now we will don't know how much the stream is lagging behind the rest of us, but it's too late for any more questions. We'll just have to talk to Pam. Put the contact details in the comments.
If you go on to all social media, put Neston High School Makerspace.
Neston High School Makerspace on all social media.
Almost all. There's a couple of platforms we left for certain reasons.
Yes.